why should betting have any part in this ecosystem at all?
It's inevitable.
Yeah, I was playing with you and I thought, oh my God, the CEO of our company is really good.
This is me. This is what I want to do with my life.
Can we lose the cup though?
No.
Hello and welcome back to the Luckbox Podcast. Today I'm joined by my own CEO, Lars, who's in town, and it's great to get you on. I've wanted to put you on this show for such a long time because I think it's an interesting story that you have where Luckbox came from and where we're going. And it's something that obviously I know and everyone within the company knows, but it'd be really great if you can share, you know, this journey we've been on together. Like,
wow. Where do you start? I think I've mentioned to you a few times, when we've been talking, but I'm a gamer. Like I started out playing, Starcraft and, at a good level, went to, a few tournaments in France and Denmark, a few in Norway, I was, passionate, I wanted to go pro, but I wasn't as good as you at, computer games, but it's been a passion. It's always been a passion. And, then life took me. And I had a career in kind of virtual currencies and in live betting, in sports, traditional sports. Then ended up at PokerStars. For me that was an acceptable form of gambling. I have issues with a lot of kind of traditional gambling because it's been done in a very predatory manner.
Right.
So I wouldn't have gotten into that industry directly. But having gotten experience, over many years, I realized you can do things in a good way, or you can do things in a bad way.
Right.
And to me, about 4 years ago, I realized that eSports, or competitive gaming, as I'd like to call it. I don't like the umbrella term eSports.
Okay.
Because it's all about competitive gaming, and I can be a very bad Dota player, but I'm still competitive in nature. I want to improve. I want to. There's this entire spectrum from me, a bad Dota player with. I like to be good at it, but I'm not. All the way to the top professionals.
Well, you're really not that bad. We played a few games together.
Yeah, well,
and I was not expecting you to be any good. Actually, I didn't realize your background in Starcraft. You obviously got some RTS. You understand how to click. You understand the mechanics and so on.
I used to have a couple of hundred ABM in Starcraft.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now is more like 27. But
no, it serves you well. Honestly, I was playing with you and I thought, oh my God, the CEO of our company is really good. I mean, you were rusty. We were all rusty, and I thought, oh my God, he's outshining me. This does not look good.
Yeah. No. Like I follow the Dota scene quite a lot. I follow the likes of Purge, Banana Slam Jamma, a lot of these guys. I like to watch the coaching. I like to watch professional events. I came back into proper, eSports, last year. ESL Birmingham was being home.
Yeah, I was really happy.
This is everything that I want to do, is be part of the eSports scene, the eSports industry, be part of the type of gaming that I love. Competitive gaming has always been. But kind of back to the question. 4 years ago, I left PokerStars because I understood that competitive gaming was finally going to take off in the West, as it has, since the late 90s, and in Korea, where they even had a dedicated TV channel in the late 90s for Starcraft. But I saw that this was happening. I have experience with licensing, with gambling products, with promotions, with operations, with all of these things, and it just made sense to try to figure this out. Try to build something with my skill set and my passion. Always wanted to create something, never had the right opportunity. I wouldn't create something just for the sake of creating it, but to me, this was what I needed to do.
Yeah, and so I joined the company about pretty much a year ago, actually. And the first thing I did was I want to take you guys to ESL One Birmingham because obviously my part as director of eSports is to make sure everybody in the company understands what it is we're doing, who we're working towards, what our customers are like. And I was just really glad because the event, and I hope you agree with me, it was spectacular, right?
It was fantastic event.
And it's one coming up very soon, actually. So as this goes out, we'll be in gearing up for ESL One Birmingham for the second year. How did you feel being in that audience and seeing so many people cheering for their Dota teams?
Surreal. That is the only way you can describe it. Surreal. Especially for me being a gaming fan. I also created LANs. When I was a teenager. Me and some friends, we borrow the gym hall at school, put computers in, created networks, charged our friends to come in. To pay for the costs. Initially that was 30, 40 people. Scaling that to a couple of hundred. That combined with kind of the competitive Starcraft, experience, being out of it for 15 years, whatever, and then coming there was like, almost tears coming. Like this is me. This is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a fantastic event. ESL should be proud of themselves for what they're doing with their events.
Yeah. I mean, ESL have had mixed success though. There was the whole Facebook deal last year, which affected viewing figures.
Yeah. But they're the first to admit that was a mistake. They've learned. They've moved on, and you're not going to succeed and progress as a business without taking risks. And you need to break some eggs. It's every business that scales, every business that tries to do ambitious things will make mistakes. And it's expensive to run events like ESL are doing. It's very, very expensive, and you need the revenues to support it. So it's not like ESL is making hundreds of millions a year. They are endemic. They are esports. They're working hard to build our scene, to build our community, to build our dreams, And
Yeah.
so I find it a bit unfair sometimes when some people go, they're just in it for the money. They're in it for the profits. No. That's not the case. It's a matter of survival and growing and building. And yeah, it was a mistake, but they learned and they moved on.
Yeah. Well, let's come back to Luckbox. The tag that comes across the screen all the time is esports betting done right. But I mean, if you're an esports fan, gambling has always been had a black mark on the community. There's always been issues. There was when skin betting was around, then there was suddenly scandals about children betting on this. I mean, why does esports? Why should betting have any part in this ecosystem at all?
It's inevitable. There will be companies that will be offering betting on professional events, even tier 2, tier 3. It happens in football, it happens in tennis, it happens in handball, it happens in every sport. There's betting on every sport. Esports is no different. And to me, you can either be one of the good guys that has a proper license with all of the player funds segregated from the funds of the company. We have what's called a client account, which is like what a lawyer would have to keep the funds of their clients. That's completely legally and physically separated from the funds of the business.
Is that important?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you a story. I worked for PokerStars, right? So a few years ago, many years ago now, eight years ago, the Department of Justice in the US, they decided that they wanted to shut down the poker scene, and they filed complaints against PokerStars and one of the competitors, Full Tilt. What happened? PokerStars, because they had taken licensing seriously from day one, they actively and intentionally went and got the strictest gambling license in the world, the Isle of Man. And as a consequence of doing that, they were forced into having good corporate governance, good structures, good compliance. They were forced into doing things right. And Full Tilt did not. So what happened when the Department of Justice pulled the rug under the industry? Full Tilt collapsed. Customers couldn't get the money. Everything was black. No one understood. Well, how am I going to get the money back? They didn't have the money. PokerStars did. They paid everyone back in a matter of weeks. It was, okay, we've got the money because we've been obligated to have the funds sitting there in a bank account. It's not our bank account, it's the bank account of our players. They paid it back, they sorted everything out, and that is the difference between playing on and interfacing with a good versus a not so good actor. And this is just one of many kind of examples of what a strict and good license does for the customer, for the consumer, for the player. So recently there was a Reddit post about someone claiming that a gaming company stole $500 from them. There might be legitimate reasons for seizing the funds of a customer, because match fixing is a problem in every sport, including esports. And so that gambling company, they might have very, very good reasons for seizing those funds. But the difference is, if that company had a good license, the customer would be able to go to the Gaming Commission, file a formal complaint, and the Gaming Commission would help the customer get the money back if that seizure was unwarranted.
Okay, you mean there's a recourse? There's
recourse. It's legal recourse. There's you can go and complain to the Gaming Commission if the gambling company is doing something wrong. You complain to the Gaming Commission, and you get help to sort out the issue.
Okay.
But operators in jurisdictions like Curacao, Cyprus, many others, there is no recourse. I could borrow a Curacao license if I wanted to.
Okay, and here's where it builds as well, and it's something I've been talking about, is why we maybe want regulation when regulation is very good for the industry. And in esports, we've always been not very happy when outside regulators come in and say, do it like this. This is your structure. Okay, but why does gambling need regulation? And this is sort of this. I asked Ian from ESIC this same question as well. But I mean, what's your take on it? How is this license? How does it make you different? What are the key things that it?
Yeah. Okay.
does?
So I think there's a few things. I think you always need to go back to your funds are safe, because they're protected by legal mechanism that makes sure that your funds are safe. If we go under, you will get your money back, guaranteed. That is very critical part of our gaming license. One of the few licenses, maybe the only license in the world that actually offers that protection. But then you have, esports has seen the skin betting, scandals, and the skin betting where operators have let 12-year-olds come onto the site and play. They will use a parent's credit card. They will buy some skins, then they will deposit that onto the skin betting site, and the children don't have the same understanding of the risks of gambling. They don't understand that gambling should be a spice to your experience. It should not be the experience necessarily. People there, and even with adults, as with any kind of activity, you will have problematic behavior. Some people, about 1.5% of gamblers, they are considered at risk, meaning that they are at risk of spending more money on gambling than what they should. And so we, as a licensed and regulated operator,
Luckbox hoping for that?
No, absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not. No, that's not what we set out to do. I like to put down 10, 20, 30 pounds on a match, because it makes the match more exciting.
Right.
And it's the same with any kind of sport. You might have some interest. You might watch it. Kind of a bit on and off. But then if you have a bet, for sure you're going to watch it, and the other way around. So it's got a very synergetic, to enhancing your experience. But it should not be. If I take someone's house, that's a bad thing. And this is, in many ways, also a distinction between the good guys and the bad guys. Okay. Where we have deposit limits, we have responsible gaming limits. We will make sure that our customers and our players are over 18. We will be monitoring, and we will be looking for problematic behaviors so that we can help people not spend more on gambling than what they can afford.
Okay, but I mean, we talked about that. You mentioned that Reddit thread, and I think the crux of that was something around match fixing. Now, doesn't betting cause match fixing? Like, isn't Luckbox then part of the problem?
This is why we're part of the eSports Integrity Coalition. where we and other responsible gambling operators, we will create and we will share suspicious alerts. So if we see betting patterns that are not consistent with a normal match, we will make a report to the ESIC, and they will get a report from others, and they will investigate the event in question. They will look, and they work with tournament organizers. They work with teams. They educate players. They work with the scene to try to stamp this out. But again, my answer to the previous question, gambling will happen, and it's a matter of making sure that the responsible operators work together to stamp out match fixing and to help prevent it. We have an integral role in eliminating or reducing that from our world. From our
Okay, yeah. You mentioned, see, this is something that took me a while to get my head around, but you mentioned Isle of Man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that meant nothing to me when I joined Luckbox. So why Isle of Man? Why Isle of Man license? And what does that even mean?
It is the strictest license in the world that allows you to operate more or less globally.
Okay.
So it is perhaps the only jurisdiction that does the segregation of player funds, like we talked about, protecting the player funds. They have solid responsible gaming controls. They have done police checks on all of the key members of the company. There's no mafia involved. There's no funds from illicit sources involved. All of that is checked. We've been vetted. They've looked at all of our records. They looked through everything that we're doing. They can have unannounced inspections where they come to our offices and say, show us your documentation, show us what's going on. Are you complying with the requirements? Our servers are also need to be on the Isle of Man so that again, they have control. They can inspect. They can make sure that we not only say that we are doing things the right way, but they will enforce. They will verify. The trust and verify.
Okay.
Right.
It's just odd, isn't it? Because you never hear. I mean, I know of the Isle of Man because I live in the UK, but for somebody else in Europe or elsewhere in the world, it's a bit of a strange one. But I suppose that's the story behind Isle of Man.
Yeah, and the likes of PokerStars are there for that reason.
Okay.
Because that was their decision. Back in the day to get that license because it was the strictest, and when creating a gambling company, I model our business on how they treated their customers, their staff, the corporate governance, the compliance, the responsible gaming, all of these things. They are my role models, and we try to do things in the same way. Okay.
I hope you don't mind me grilling you. I thought, look, there's no point us sitting here and me giving you softball questions. I mean, there is a lot happening in esports, and people want to know where does gambling fit in. So I hope you still got my job after this. But okay, so
careful now,
so something a bit easier then. What does the future hold? Where do you want to see Luckbox in the future? And let's say everything plays out right. Where do you want to see us a few years from now?
I mean, when setting out to do this, what I recognized was there is no place for me as a casual to get into esports, to watch esports, find esports. So one of the biggest things we're doing is we're creating a very easy to use match fixtures list where you can find we can find professional games across titles, League of Legends, Dota, CS:GO, Starcraft, Overwatch, where you can go and that if I want to watch esports, I will go to Luckbox, because I see us as an esports destination. We produce, you and our team, we produce a lot of content, and that is to give back to the community. I want to create the destination that I wanted, or that I want to consume as an esports fan. That is, what does the future hold? I don't know, but I love coaching. I love tournament. I want to be able to find teammates at my level with a similar ambition. in when it comes to gaming. So I might be a low level MMR player in in Dota, but I have a certain ambition or wish to learn, which I won't find queuing in low level MMR Dota. But if I can find a subset of players on my same skill level that has the same ambitions, that's something I miss. So I'm looking at this as, what do I, as a gamer, as a competitive gamer, what do I need? What am I looking for? Why is it so fragmented? Why is everything everywhere? There's a million resources, but it's so hard to find it. You dig through and you dig through, and it's everything's so fragmented. So I want to create a destination where, I'm a competitive gamer. I'm going to go to Luckbox. I know I'll find what I want. But who knows?
Okay. Yeah, for me, what I find the issue is, there's a lot of very enthusiastic people in esports who want to do something cool. The problem is always it's done as a hobby, and where's the money in it sometimes? And like, one thing I really enjoy in the position I am is I get to produce some cool content. We get to do behind the scenes stuff. We followed Red Eye to India and his whole journey, and get to show people this.
It's amazing. And Riley, Riley in Sydney. That was amazing. First time, I think it was the first time abroad, going to, esports event, fantastic, again, the audience, just seeing that audience, give me the ball, give give back the ball. It was amazing. I hope you guys saw that footage.
Go check it out. It's Riley on the road. It's IEM Sydney, and it's just some incredible stuff of the Australian crowd being Australian. And by the way, we need to outdo them in Birmingham. So Brits, please step up your game. So by the sounds of it, you are happy for us to invest more money in doing cool content. So right, the budget's going to be there.
Absolutely. That is what we know that our audience and the esports fans love. That's what they want, and that's what we're going to give them. The only reason why we're doing betting first is because we need a way to pay for you. Because the truth is, almost no one in esports is making money, and us being able to monetize via betting and give back to the community, give back to teams, give back to tournament organizers, give back to guys like you, so that you can create the content that we as an industry, we as a movement, want and need. That is why, and obviously, my career experience and the experience of many of my friends is from the gambling industry, and we think that we can make a difference. We can make a difference for good in esports. Whether it is working to push out operators that have more nefarious kind of ambitions, where it's all about the money, all about quick money and all of that. And give back, that's and create what I want, what you want, what everyone wants, because we're one community, and we need to find ways to grow this community, together.